money to do it. So I really think that's going to cut quite a bit into the cheating.
Living in Australia so far from the Battle.net servers, it's impossible to play Warcraft 3 or Starcraft online at a competitive level due to high latency. With the introduction of Battle.net 2, should I expect a significant reduction in latency along with the ability to play competitively with the rest of the world?
All right, you get that one.
Sure. Funny you bring this up because we were just talking about this yesterday. We definitely are committed to a high quality experience for all of our international customers across the world, both domestically here in the United States and globally. Australia and New Zealand is particularly challenging because, as you mentioned, there's high latency into and out of the continent. We are looking at various solutions to decrease latency on Battle.net in the Starcraft 2 era. I can't commit to anything right now, but we are looking at it and carefully evaluating our options there.
Hi. Yeah, so first off, I love your guys' compartmentalization that you've done with a competitive skill level. It's great. The question that I have revolves around Dota, I guess. Right now, one of the big problems is people end up playing games for half an hour or so, but within that Dota game, someone will actually leave. So I'm wondering if you guys are doing anything in particular to enforce or make people liable for leaving games during the enjoyment that the rest of the players are having.
Well, the challenge with something like Dota is that, that kind of comes into the map maker and the map rules itself. It's really hard for us at the Blizzard point of view to enforce something like in a specific custom map like that. I think there's potentially a lot of solutions like on the game design side of that map to help with that. But, you really have some of the same problems within something like even within Warcraft 3. And like our solution within Warcraft 3 was to have this concept of shared control. So that once, let's say you're in a 2v2 and your partner drops 5 minutes in, you actually control all their units. So that'd be something that hopefully we can enable map makers to have access to solutions like that for things like Dota. But there's always going to kind of be things like that that are going to be tough to enforce because like at the Blizzard level, I'm not sure exactly what we can do to punish someone that leaves a game early or something like that because they might have a legitimate reason to leave. It's the same problem in, let's say, World of Warcraft, if someone leaves a raid early or someone leaves a group early or someone leaves a battleground or anything like that. It's really hard for us to, be the bad guys and enforce it. I think the right way to try to solve it is come up with clever ways the map creator can put things in there for the team to compensate.
Looks like we have time for a few more questions.
Hi, I was wondering what you're planning to do with the programming scheme. Like you have Kespa, you have watching all their online pro matches. Like currently, you can do that through GOM TV. But on top of that, you could kind of do something like having once a game is finished and some ladder, and then say, okay, trigger it is put to a relay server and ship that data to a whole bunch of people that they can then watch 15 minutes after the game is finished, and therefore they can't say, hey, I know this guy is playing, this guy's in this position. Have you thought of doing anything like that to get the pro gaming level and the kind of just the broadcasting of that kind of gameplay? And it's great for television.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of thoughts around pro gaming in the StarCraft 2 community, and some of the stuff you're talking about is very similar to some of the stuff we're talking about. The thing is, though, some of that stuff's going to actually come after the launch of the game, and other than the StarCraft 2 marketplace, I really want to concentrate our talk mainly on stuff that's going to be there at launch. But we have a lot of really cool ideas for how to support the pro community in the future through replays. We even kind of have some concepts of, be able to watch games very quickly after they've been launched. All kinds of ideas of how to internet stream those things. And, we also even want to have kind of concepts to try to come up with cool leaderboards so that if you're watching a game, which you might have noticed in the replay screen, just to make the spectator part of it a little more understandable. I really feel like the trick with pro gaming, not only with Star 2, but really with any of the games out there, is trying to come up with ways to make it interesting for the spectators. And really having a strong spectator mode, and I always draw this analogy, I don't know how many of you guys are poker fans, but, if you look about 5 years ago, poker's been around for 100 years. But about 5 years ago, it got immensely popular. And it was